Hello everyone, I am Nadia and as you can see I'm currently on Sim State University neighborhood screen. The reason to that is very simple, I'd like to play the university Premades. Actually, I've never ever played them before, that's why I was always so excited whenever I heard a simmer I was watching say they were going to merge them into their Let's Plays. But most of them never did. Or those few who did dare to play these Premades took only one or two of them and left the others behind, ruining their stories. They could take, for example, Caster Nova, bring him to Pleasantview where he was slowly getting older, but leave all the local girls who have a crush on Caster here as eternal young adults. I think it's weird and unfair. As I've just said, the local Sims have some stories going on, so to develop these stories to their fullest, I'm not going to use the shortened semester mod. But I don't want to lose too much time here either, so this episode will consist of 3 parts, each lasting for 2 Sims days or 4 months in my lifespan. And I'll also play all the Sims in every part. Or we could say a small rotation inside a bigger rotation. As usual, we'll start by moving 3 bin families to the neighborhood. So I've placed the freshman household in Sim State dormitory, and both Eric Swain and Jimmy Phoenix ended up in Pine Nut Plaza dorms. Again, I have no idea what the playing order should be, so this time we'll move from the center to the outskirts, starting with the freshman household. How can Sam, the girl next door, and 2 guys coasting their way through school possibly get along? Will they find some common ground and become friends? We'll start with Jared Starchild, who knows nothing about cultural appropriation. He is a family sim who's very lazy and sloppy, but outgoing, playful and nice. He is mostly interested in food, culture and sci-fi, and he is studying art. Jared splits his time between working on his art or hanging out with friends. He has also been known to sneak food from the cafeteria once in a while. In general, not the smartest guy who believes he is super creative. He is turned on by makeup and custom hair, and he doesn't like logical people. Jared's friend Ty Bubbler is a popularity sim who is just as lazy, outgoing and playful as Jared, but not as sloppy and nice. He's interested in food, environment and animals, and he is studying philosophy. Ty enjoys spending time with Allegra, Jared and Caster discussing his philosophical theories, but his favorite activity is watching the happenings around campus out on the quad. However, the problem is that Ty doesn't really know Caster or Allegra, so this episode will have to make sure that Ty at least meets them. Ty is turned on by charismatic and fitness, and he doesn't like Sims who wear perfume. Now let's talk about Sam Thomas. She is a popularity sim with a very balanced personality. She is also interested in food, environment, but also sports and travel. She's studying psychology at the university. Her bio reads, Sam makes friends with boys far more easily than she does with girls. She just doesn't understand why girls are so weird. She enjoys baseball and Chinese food. Sam is turned on by black hair and great cook, most likely because she doesn't want to cook herself, and she is turned off by blonde hair. First, everyone claimed their rooms. Ty went to class, which was useless with his class performance maxed out because of his lack of skills, and I sent Sam to paint and Jared to study mechanical. Sam's activity was interrupted by the trainer, who started yelling at her, and she chose to exercise instead of painting because she loves sport. Ty returned from his class, and after he'd finished his lunch, everyone went to a community lot because Ty needed to meet Caster and Allegra. And we also found out that Ty was gay because he got repulsed by this blonde guy. On the other hand, Ty demonstrated his attraction towards Ashley Pitts, so I made him greet Ashley. Their chat didn't go well, so we went to another lot where Jared literally ran to greet Tiffany Sampson, but she didn't notice that. Sam introduced herself to Joshua Rubin, and because there weren't any signs of Castor and Allegra, everyone went home. Ty chatted with Sam and they became friends, and as Jared rolled a wand to gain a skill point, I made him study cleaning. And it turned out that Jared's one true hobby was nature, and I agreed because he was interested in environment and animals. In the morning, Sam gave Jared a fake compliment. I say fake because she actually thinks he's unattractive. As Ty was playing happily on the computer, I realized there was still no point in going to class for him, so I made him work on his logic skill to expand his meter. And he practiced playing chess instead of going to class for some time. He eventually went away and Sam and Jared decided to look for Castor and Allegra for him. But Jared only met Heather Huffington in the park. Sharing their love for bright colors, they got along really quickly and chatted for some time, but Jared's class was drawing nearer, so he had to return. Now it was Ty's turn to look for his supposed friends. But no luck, he only met Joshua Rubin. Meanwhile, at the dormitory, Sam met Kevin Bear, who was passing by. And obviously this guy was so desperate that he even complimented Sam, who he actually has negative chemistry with. But surprisingly, they got along very well after that most unfortunate pick-up attempt. They even discussed Sam's sense of sight and probably would have become friends right on the spot, but Sam had to look for Ty's friends one more time. Unfortunately, she only met an omnipresent Joshua Rubin at the local gym. But it turned out they actually had one bolt of chemistry. We also discovered that our bills were huge and our Sims could potentially fail to pay them, say nothing of making some savings. In the morning we found out that Sam wanted to be friends with Kevin and Jared wanted to be friends with Heather. Now it's our turn to play the Swain household. It is Swain, not Phoenix, because Eric was moved in first. Eric isn't afraid to march right into any challenge that awaits him. He came here on his own and is determined to make the best of it. Will everyone else accept his unique approach to life? So this is Eric Swain. He is a family sim with not the best personality for it. He is sloppy, shy and quite grouchy, but very active. He is mostly interested in food, entertainment and culture. He is studying art and he is quite good at it. His bio reads, Eric is here to follow his dream of being a successful artist. Maybe he'll meet the love of his life along the way. He is turned on by blonde hair and great cook, and turned off by Sims who are good at sports. Now let's talk about Jimmy Phoenix. He is a popularity sim who is sloppy but nice and quite outgoing. He is interested in entertainment, environment, health and school. He is studying history. His bio reads, Jimmy has come to college hoping for a fresh start. He is the first member of his family to go to college and he wants to make a good impression. I wonder why he needs this fresh start in the first place. He is turned on by hats and fitness and turned off by robots. Eric claimed the room with a black duvet and Jimmy the one that had a wardrobe in it. Surprisingly, the grouchy Eric liked Jimmy's compliment, but because these two didn't know anyone but each other, I made them go to a community lot. They didn't meet anyone at the local store, but got lucky at the Central Quad, where Jimmy met Sam Thomas, and OMG, they had 3 bolts together. Jimmy even decided to put some moves on Sam on his own. We also saw a dormie who was wearing exactly the same outfit as Jimmy, which again made me think of makeovers for my Sims who look too similar. Meanwhile, Eric went to his class and Jimmy ordered some coffee for Sam and for himself. And then we finally saw Allegra Gory, who we'd been looking for with Ty. After Eric had returned, the guys went to another community lot. There they chatted for a little while with each other, and I noticed that Jimmy was actually quite good looking. In the evening they visited the local gym because Jimmy wanted to gain a skill point, and later he surprised us with his sexual orientation. Back at the dormitory, Eric was working on his skills, while Jimmy was socializing with some dormies. In the middle of the night, they both rolled a wand to write their term papers, and as Jimmy was dawdling away, Eric was already finishing his. Watching Eric's hard work, I couldn't stop thinking about Dirk Dreamer. That's why I decided that Eric needs his makeover this round. Next day, Jimmy decided that he needed to become friends with Sam, so I had to give up on the idea of him writing his term paper. I also bought Eric his personal easel that he put in his room. Later that day, I sent Eric to a community lot to find love of his life. And he saw blonde Heather Huffington at the library. He greeted her, told her a joke, but she quickly realized that she didn't belong to that place and went away. So did Eric, and at Campus Lounge, where he was working on his creativity skill, he met Kevin Bear from the fraternity. Then it was Jimmy's turn to go outside, and unsurprisingly he met Sam Thomas again at one of the community lots. As a couple of nice sims, they decided to annoy the local cashier and started dancing behind her back. In the evening, Eric showed us his double-faced spirit by talking sweetly to a guy he actually disliked. And the day was finished by some painting in Eric's case and some stargazing in Jimmy's. Now we are going to play the sorority girls. Three-Var sorority may be the nicest Greek house on campus, but with sisters like Heather and Brittany, will Tiffany be able to convince anyone else to join? This is Brittany Upsnot, the president of the Three-Var sorority. She's popularity aspiration. She is neat, outgoing, active, but very serious and extremely grouchy. She is interested in politics, money, health, school, and weather. Brittany is studying drama, but in view of her interests, she should study political science, I believe. Also, she is the first sophomore that we've met so far, which means she is 19, not 18 like the others. Even though Brittany is the queen bee of the sorority, no one wants to spend time with her. If anyone could break through her shell, though, they'd find that in truth she is insecure and just wants to be liked. Let's see if she has any friends at all. As you can see, her only friends are Kevin Bear from the fraternity and Castor Nova, who she has a crush on. By the way, all the sorority girls have a crush on Castor Nova, so I believe he will be the reason of their rivalry. Brittany is turned on by facial hair and charismatic, and turned off by pessimism. Next sim we have is Heather Huffington. She is romance aspiration. She is very sloppy, very lazy, but extremely playful, outgoing, and quite nice. She is mostly interested in money, food, entertainment, fashion, environment. She's not interested in any of this stuff. She's studying drama, and I like it. Her bio reads, "So many parties, so little time, other words Heather lives by." So she could probably win over any guy she wanted. Her sights are currently set on the local nerd, Martin. It's a conquest thing. Now let's take a look at her relationship panel. You can see that she has a crush on both Martin Rubin and Castor Nova. Martin Rubin is a local nerd, and Castor Nova is just a popular guy that everyone has a crush on. Heather is turned on by black hair and facial hair, and she is repulsed by stink. The last member of the Three-Var sorority is Tiffany Sampson. She's knowledge aspiration. She has almost exactly the same personality as Sam Thomas. She's also very balanced. She is interested in entertainment, environment, health, and fashion. She's studying literature. Tiffany is the smart bookworm type. She doesn't like to make waves and enjoys keeping things calm at the sorority. So, unlike Brittany and Heather, who are fighting a lot over Casanova, she prefers to keep her feelings to herself. Tiffany is turned on by logical and creative guys, so being a smart girl, she likes smart guys, and she is turned off by underwear, because she is very modest, judging by her sweater. I literally spent 20 seconds in the game when Heather and Brittany started arguing over something. But it was time for Heather to go to class, so Brittany decided to seize the moment to invite Casanova over and finally claim his as her own. After some jokes, she attempted to kiss him, but Castor rejected her. However, later he showed us that he was actually into Tiffany, but as a couple of true bookworms, they were just reading something together in complete silence. After seeing that, Brittany tried to apologize to Castor for her too audacious move, and Castor accepted her apologies. Obviously, he preferred being friends with a mean girl to being her boyfriend. But Heather returned from her class and proceeded immediately to talking to Castor and dissing Brittany's piano skills. Castor was not too impressed by them either, by the way. Actually, maybe it was Brittany's lack of talent that made Castor go for Heather's kiss right behind Brittany's back later. He also didn't mind being hit on by Heather, and the Queen Bee either didn't hear them do that because of the piano or decided to display her dignity. She went to a community lot instead and saw Martin Rubin there. She knew that Heather had a crush on him, so she decided to hit on him in revenge. But the moment she saw his face closer, she changed her mind. Only stupid bimbos like Heather could fall for that nose. But she could still befriend him and try to demonize Heather later. Brittany went to the central quad where she met Eric Swain. As two very ambitious simps, they talked about money and work and seemed to be getting along. And later we discovered that Castor was not so irresistible as he seemed to be. Sam Thomas thought he looked disgusting. Sam's repulsed face expression served Brittany as a sign that she could actually make friends with her. And they did. Brittany found Sam's stories about her poor sense of sight really fascinating, or maybe she was just faking her interest. When Brittany returned home, I changed her major, and it turned out that she lacked a lot of skills for the new one. After Tiffany finished her lunch, she went to call her numerous male friends. She even discussed something saucy with Joshua Rubin, but she hated it when he decided to talk about sports instead. When Tiffany called Castor, Heather began to listen in, and judging by her face, she didn't think Tiffany could win Castor over talking about textbooks. Nevertheless, she didn't call Castor herself when it was her turn to sit on the phone. She called Eric Swain and Jared Starchild instead. In the evening, Heather listened to the cooking channel to gain some cooking skill, while Brittany was practicing her speech and Tiffany was cleaning up to deserve some more time at the chess table at night. The best way to start her day for Tiffany was to do her assignment, for Heather to relax in the bath, and for Brittany to gain more skills and make sure she would end up on the dean's list. When the sun rose, Brittany decided to invite over her new friend Sam Thomas. But unfortunately she had to go to her class, so Tiffany had to entertain the guest. At the dining table, two types of pick-me girls, a nerdy one and a sportive one, were talking about fashion. I'm absolutely sure that if Heather or Brittany had been around, Sam and Tiffany would have picked another topic for conversation to prove their superiority. After Brittany had returned, Sam tried to get some fashion advice from her, but as a true mean girl, Brittany refused to help Sam improve her looks. The Queen Bee went to a community lot again where she met Ashley Pitts. They got along very quickly, discussing their fake friends. Eric Swain was on that community lot too, and after discussing an innocent barista, Brittany made friends with him. Meanwhile, Heather invited Jared Starchild over and they talked about her good looks that would make her a movie star. Heather had a want to flirt with Jared, and after doing so, she got a crush on him. Jimmy Phoenix was passing by and I made Brittany meet him. Turned out they had 2 bolts of chemistry. And then Heather asked Eric Swain on a date and he agreed. It was the most boring date ever. They were just standing on the sidewalk next to the student union, discussing Allegra Gorey, occasionally flirting and kissing. But Eric was very pleased anyway, most likely because he had a flirt wand all that time and felt like all his dreams were coming true. After the date, Eric brought some flowers for Heather, and Brittany returned from her final exam with an A+, which really surprised me. Now we are going to play the fraternity. The Urella Resha House is the oldest fraternity on campus with a long and prestigious history. Can the brothers keep the historic house united, or will their drastically different personalities divide them instead? The first fraternity member is Ashley Pitts. He is a sophomore like Brittany Upsnot, and he is 19. He is romance aspiration, he is really sloppy and grouchy, but very outgoing and quite active. He is interested in money, health, and sports. He is really interested in sports, and by the way, his lifetime want is to become Hall of Famer, but surprisingly, he is studying mathematics, so we'll have to change that. Ashley isn't very popular, but he is too focused on himself to notice. He spends an awful lot of time staring at himself in the mirror. So this guy is pretty narcissistic. And also, if we take a look at his relationship panel, we can see that he only knows the guys he is living with, plus Martin Rubin, Joshua Rubin's brother. Surprisingly, being a romance sim, he doesn't know any ladies right from the start of the game. Now he knows some because he met them when we were playing other households. But initially he doesn't know any ladies. And also he spends an awful lot of time staring at himself in the mirror. I have only one explanation. Ashley Pitts is gay and he is trying to gussy up to impress the guys he is living with. But they are all straight and that's why no chemistry with them. I slightly modified his turn on, so now he is turned on by facial hair and hard workers and turned off by fatness. The next guy is Castor Nova. Castor Nova himself. He is knowledge aspiration. He has a very balanced personality. He is mostly interested in entertainment and environment, and he is studying philosophy. He is doing pretty good, by the way. Castor is the cool man on campus that marches to the beat of his own drum and makes all the girls swoon. He enjoys coffee shops, music, and a good conversation. Castor is so mysterious. He is so mysterious that we cannot even see his face properly behind all the hair and the green glasses he is wearing. Castor is turned on by brown hair and makeup and turned off by red hair. Joshua Rubin is the next. He is fortune aspiration. He is really sloppy, quite grouchy, but really active and quite outgoing. He is interested in food, money, health, and sports. Again, really interested in sports. And he is undeclared, so we'll need to choose a major for him. I personally see him in the military career because he gives off these masculine vibes. Joshua doesn't know where he wants to focus his studies. He is too easily distracted by sorority girls and pizza. Sorority girls, they say. So yeah, as you can see, Joshua has a crush on Tiffany Sampson, the one that is the bookworm type, the one that is as boring and dry as her textbooks. I don't think they make a good couple. First of all, they have very different personalities, and also he is not smart enough for her. As you can see, he lacks both logic and creativity, and they are Tiffany's turn-ons. And again, I think Joshua needs someone who is more fun. Joshua is turned on by brown hair and gray hair. He spawned with this gray hair as a turn-on, and I decided to keep it because who knows, maybe he wants some guidance in his life. That's why he prefers older ladies, and he is turned off by witchiness. Finally, we have Kevin Bear. He is family aspiration. Again, he has a very balanced personality, only he is a little bit sloppy. He is fat, but as you can see, he is actually more active than lazy, so he's got a chance to lose weight. He's mostly interested in health and sports, and again, this hints that probably Kevin would want to lose some weight eventually. He is studying psychology. His bio reads, Kevin is the charming nice guy that just can't seem to get the girl. He is often being called the teddy bear of his frat house. As you can see, he is friends with everyone he's living with, plus he is friend-zoned by the sorority girls, most likely because of his body shape. I'm really sorry for him, and I hope that he will not try to lose his weight just to impress, let's say, Tiffany Sampson. He is turned on by makeup and creative, and turned off by full face makeup. I started with changing Ashley's major using the computer in his and Joshua's bedroom, and then I chose the political science major for Joshua. As you can tell by Custer's relationship panel, he prefers being friends with girls, or maybe he's just an attention seeker. He is pretty successful anyway, because he even was being cheered on in the middle of his lunch. After the guys had finished their sandwiches, I sent Kevin and Joshua to the campus lounge, and Joshua's brother Martin came there too. But it was pretty hard to catch him because obviously he was avoiding Joshua on purpose. I believe Martin thinks he's better than his brother, that's why he was either laughing at Joshua's words or making an irritated grimace. Meanwhile, Kevin saw his acquaintance Eric Swain and talked to him for a little while. But actually he wanted to gain a skill point, so I made him play drums until he got one. Back at the fraternity, Joshua preferred computer games to studying, while his friend Ashley was doing his assignment. Custer wasn't wasting his time either. Ashley still had some romantic ones, so I made him call Ty Bubbler, the only other gay sim on campus. Of course, your sims cannot see each other's sexual orientation, but Ashley decided to give it a shot. As Joshua kept on drinking juice, I noticed that everything was littered with paper cups, and none of the frat brothers was neat. In the evening, Custer had prepared a nice dinner for the guys, and they had been eating calmly until the cheerleader girl ran into the room and started cheering on them again. Then I decided it was time for Joshua to start working on his skills. As for Custer, he spent that evening stargazing and cleaning the bathroom as the neatest sim in the house. If only the girls knew that their icon is being treated like Cinderella. It wasn't exactly a good morning at the Urella Reshacham house because the cheerleader and the llama mascot ran into Ashley and Joshua's bedroom and started shouting again. Later, the mean-spirited Ashley invited over his mean friend Brittany, and they started gossiping about poor Allegra Gorey, who according to Brittany had no chances with Custer. Both Joshua and Ashley needed charisma, and I realized there were no mirrors in their fancy house. None at all. So Ashley's buyer had lied to us. He could only stare at his reflection in this glassy door. As Ashley was on his way home, Jimmy Phoenix was walking past our house. When he saw Ashley appear, he thought he looked hot but disappeared himself, which was most unfortunate because Ashley didn't have the greatest chemistry with Ty. So I sent Ashley to a community lot hoping he would meet Jimmy, but the only sim he met there was Ty. Ty was, of course, very much attracted to Ashley, and this time their chat went a lot better than the last time they had met. Custer was talking to Heather on the phone and acknowledged that he liked girls like Tiffany. Hopefully nothing will happen to the girl after that talk. And Brittany showed us her homophobic nature. Despite being friends with Ashley, she was dissing him behind his back because he was gay. And Joshua proved us that he was indeed too dumb for a girl like Tiffany. He found no better place to put his pizza but under the direct sunlight. Meanwhile, Custer found Brittany near his bed, presumably looking for long blonde hairs on his pillow. And in the evening, Heather did visit us. Well, almost visited. She was actually looking for some compromising evidence on Custer too, but didn't succeed. Our Greek house grew to rank 4, only thanks to Kevin, who had been working on his relationships with Sam and Eric all the time. By the way, Kevin saw Heather doing her dirty business through the bathroom window. That's why he decided to call her and ask if she was okay. What a sweet guy he is. Then my attention was drawn to Custer's wants and fears. He wanted to be BFFs with Heather and feared her death. I think that Custer is a very insensitive simp who is doing the worst out of the goodness of his heart. He knows that at least 2 of his girlfriends have a crush on him, but he keeps on friend-zoning them and never tells them properly that he is not looking for a girlfriend right now. He is keeping them on the safe side and enjoying being their icon while they are arguing and spreading dirty rumors about each other. Later, as Custer was talking to one of his fans, Joshua came downstairs because he wanted to do a research with someone, and the only sim he could do it was Ashley, whose meter was not full yet. So we witnessed the weirdest researching process ever. One is a freshman and the other is a sophomore. One is studying political science, the other studying drama. Both half-naked, sitting 5 meters away from each other, but preparing for their exams together. Good luck, boys. I hope it will help. And it actually helped. Ashley got a spot on the dean's list and then went straight to the piano, which was very wise of him because he needed creativity for his 4th semester. Both Kevin and Joshua returned with B grades, and Joshua went away immediately to grab some pizza to celebrate. Joshua's luck at his exam gave him the necessary motivation, and he finally rolled some uni-related ones. When the sun rose, I sent Ashley to pay the bills because the guys finally had enough money for doing that. Now we are about to play the Bright household. Jane, Martin and Allegra wanted to escape the craziness of campus life and decided to find their own place. Can they still have the college experience, or will they just get lonely? We'll start with Allegra Gorey. She is knowledge aspiration, she is very active, quite nice but shy and serious. She is interested in a lot of things: politics, health, environment, paranormal, travel and weather. Her current major is art, but she's not that interested in culture and entertainment as she is, let's say, in weather and paranormal, so I think I'll change her major. Allegra is a bleeding heart romantic, but you wouldn't know that from looking at her. She dislikes the entire sorority as a matter of principle and sticks to her own small circle of friends instead. So yeah, as you can see, she has a crush on Castor Nova, yeah, another one. And she dislikes the sorority girls because, of course, she's jealous. She is turned on by facial hair and red hair. And she is turned off by swimwear because she's serious. Now let's talk about Jane Staggs. She is the only junior we meet here at the same state university, which means she is already 20. She is family aspiration. She is neat, active, quite nice, but shy and serious, although not as serious as Allegra. She is interested in environment, school, weather and animals, and she is studying physics. Jane has been spending a lot of time with the irresistible Custer lately. Could something besides friendship be in the air? As you can see, Jane is friends with Custer, but there are no bolts. That's because I made her gay manually, and here is why. First of all, I found it suspicious that she is living with Allegra Gorey, who has a crush on Custer and who is most likely constantly talking about him, but she somehow didn't get interested in him. There is a thing that occurs pretty often with boys, when, let's say, one guy falls in love with a girl And then sooner or later all his friends fall in love with the same girl because that first guy was talking about her all the time, was praising her all the time, and they found her attractive and appealing too. And it happens with the girls too. It happened with me a couple of times too. But as I said, Jane somehow stayed immune to Custer's charm. The reason might be is that she is simply not into boys in general. Second, if you load the Bright household the first, you'll see that initially Jane only knows her roommates, Martin and Allegra, and Custer, and doesn't know any girls. Being all that feminine, she doesn't have any girlfriends. I find it strange because there is Brittany Upsnot, who is a sophomore, who's closer in age to Jane than, let's say, Allegra is. But Jane doesn't know her when she was bound to meet her. So here's my theory. Judging by Jane's looks, she comes from a very traditional family of farmers who would hate to know that their girl is gay. All they want to know is that she's getting her education, her degree, and that she will find a better life than they have. That's why Jane is trying to cut the thoughts about the girls aside. She is trying not to overanalyze her sexual orientation. She believes that probably something happened to her, that she's straight. She's trying to convince herself. So she's been avoiding girls on purpose. And as for Allegra, she got introduced to her accidentally, most likely by Custer himself, because their relationship with him is a lot higher than their mutual relationship. And luckily for her, Allegra turned out to be quite unattractive, not her type. And speaking about attractiveness, Jane is turned on by creative and good at cleaning and turned off by hats. The last member of this household is Martin Rubin. He is of course Joshua Rubin's brother. He has knowledge aspiration, he is neat, quite nice but shy and lazy. I believe his personality is opposite to Joshua's. Martin is interested in politics, work, paranormal, weather and sci-fi. A typical nerd. He is studying mathematics. His bio reads, Martin can hardly believe he's really related to a frat member. Rather than dwelling on it, though, he keeps his nose to the grindstone, hangs out with his roommates, and tries to avoid the sorority girls. Well, Martin, you weren't trying really hard. You are friends with Heather Huffington. I believe Allegra does not approve. By the way, Martin is turned on by blonde hair and glasses, and turned off by black hair, so probably if Allegra changes her hair color, he will be into her. But again, I think they're just friends. After unpausing the game, I learned that an easel can serve as a piano or a drum kit, because Jane decided to use it just for fun. Allegra and Martin wanted to gain some skill points, so she read a book on cleaning and he studied mechanical. After that, they decided to do their assignments, and as for Jane, who needed a logic skill point but couldn't work on it because I didn't want her to spy on her neighbors, she decided to write in her diary instead. Surprisingly, she started writing about Ashley Pitts, who she didn't even know. Maybe she'd heard that he was gay and wanted to pour her suspicions about herself on paper, but decided not to do this because Martin could see it. Later she talked to him and Allegra about less personal things. And I changed Allegra's major to philosophy because I saw her in paranormal career, and also that way she could be closer to her love interest Castor Nova, who was studying philosophy too. As Martin and Allegra were having their dinner, I admired Allegra's top and dissed her jeans. Jane joined them at the table and they continued talking about school. While Jane was cleaning up after dinner, stargazing Allegra discovered an unknown star and earned 500 simoleons. I sent her and Martin to the gym at night because he needed a body skill point but was too shy and insecure to work out in front of many people. And he became fit after just one training session. Hopefully this won't make him as stupid as his brother. And just to prove to me that exercising doesn't kill brain cells, he rolled a wand to write his term paper and even finished it that very morning. Meanwhile, Jane was finally stargazing herself, and as I was sending Allegra to bed, Jane even discovered another star and earned her own 500 simoleons. I had to wake Jane up early because of her classes, and Allegra was already up studying cleaning again. I sent Martin and Allegra to the central quad, and arrogant Martin started looking at birds studiously, making every effort to ignore his stupid and unworthy brother. Allegra went to her class, but Heather Huffington showed up on the quad, and I sent Martin to greet her, because I was sure that the only reason he was trying to avoid the sorority girls was Allegra's anger. He was friends with Heather, and this proves that his hatred towards the Trivar sisters wasn't genuine. Martin got hungry and decided to make some hot dogs, and we got the notification claiming cuisine as his one true hobby, which was an absolute rubbish with his 2 interest points in food and general scientific inclinations. When Allegra returned to the quad, we finally saw Ty Bubbler. I completely forgot about him when I'd been playing the fraternity, but now he could at least be friends with Allegra. And by the way, with Allegra's new major, Ty's bio was now making much more sense. Allegra saw a red-headed Jared Starchild and started talking to him, while Heather Huffington was staring at them angrily. This is what is called jealousy. Obviously, Heather decided to annoy Allegra by flirting with Martin right before her eyes, and OMG, he got a crush on her. Meanwhile, Jane decided to call her friend Castor Nova, and we found out that he was actually the only person on campus who knew about her secret. Both Allegra and Martin finished that semester with A+ grades, and Allegra started lecturing Martin about his flirting with Heather on the quad, telling him that his relationship with that blonde chick would turn nasty. It's too late, Allegra, he's already on the hook. Luckily, Martin didn't get too offended, and he even ate Allegra's burnt mac and cheese. And after dinner, Allegra called Ty Bubbler to chat. In the morning, Jane returned from her exam with an A+2, making the bright household warrant its name. So that's it for episode 18 part 1. As you can tell, it took me a lot of time to make it, and I'm really sorry for that delay. Basically, I had to turn 6-hour footage into 40-something minutes, but I hope that I'll make parts 2 and 3 quicker, because I won't have to make the introductions for the Sims, and honestly, I'm dying to return to Don Lothario myself. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in parts 2 and 3 of episode 18. Bye!